My mom told me to give my fiancé to my sister at my engagement party. Then it got worse. Yesterday was supposed to be one of the happiest days of my life. My engagement party. The beginning of something beautiful with the man I love. But instead, it turned into a dumpster fire of delusion, entitlement, and full-blown emotional whiplash, all thanks to my mother and my older sister Amanda. I'm engaged to Jake, my fiancé, my partner, my person. He proposed to me a few weeks ago during a trip to Hawaii, and it was honestly the most magical moment I've ever experienced. We'd been hiking along the coast, the sun setting over the ocean, when he got down on one knee. I couldn't stop crying, happy tears, and he just smiled like he'd been waiting his whole life for that moment. When we got back to Charleston, we decided to throw a small get-together at our place. Just a chill engagement party, friends, family, close folks only. I didn't want anything too fancy. Just a warm, happy night to celebrate this new chapter. Jake's parents came. My dad came. And of course, my mom and Amanda showed up. And yeah, Amanda's fiancé, Tyler, was there too. Now before I go further, let me explain a little about Amanda and Tyler. They've been engaged for 3 years. No wedding. No planning. Just an on-again, off-again mess of a relationship that's as predictable as it is chaotic. They fight. They break up. They get back together. Lather, rinse, repeat. I've honestly lost count of how many times one of them has packed a bag and left, only to come crawling back a week later with some half-assed apology and a fresh round of empty promises. Amanda drinks too much. Tyler cheats too much. It's like their relationship was built in a factory that manufactures dysfunction. After dropping out of state college, they both tried to chase this travel-the-world dream. They didn't have savings. They didn't have jobs. They just thought life would bend to their Instagram aesthetic fantasy. My parents, more specifically my mom, gave them money. Against my dad's better judgment, they gave enough to cover a few months of rent, some plane tickets, and probably the crappy backpacks they posted selfies with. 3 months later, guess who was back? Flat broke. No plan. Wanting more. My dad was furious. He told them straight up they needed to get jobs, that being an adult means working, not couch surfing your way through life pretending you're discovering yourself. But of course, my mom, the eternal peacemaker and Amanda's personal cheerleader, convinced him to help, just this one last time. It wasn't the last time. Before we go further, don't forget to like this story, hit subscribe, and tap the bell, so you don't miss what happens next. They kept coming back. And every time, my dad gave less and my mom gave more. Eventually, she started paying Amanda's rent out of her own account. My dad told her, if you want to enable that behavior, do it on your own dime. And she did. Tyler finally got a job as a mechanic, the most stable he's ever been. Amanda, reluctantly, took a hostess job at a diner. She hated it, complained constantly. But they needed the money, and their travel fantasy had long since burned out. Anyway, all of that nonsense would have been fine if they'd just come to the party, said congrats, and minded their business. But Amanda doesn't do fine. She doesn't do not the center of attention. She didn't congratulate me. Not once. Didn't say a word to Jake either, not until she gave him a hug that lasted a few seconds too long. You know the kind. The weird, lingering one where you start wondering if someone's perfume was chosen specifically to be memorable. She's always been weird around Jake. Sweet when no one's looking. Flirty in a way she pretends is innocent. But when he's not around, she's cold. Dismissive. I've told her to knock it off more than once. Jake has too. He's actually had to tell her to back off when she gets too touchy, the arm touches, the shoulder squeezes, that fake drunk giggle thing she does when she's had 2 glasses of wine and wants attention. Jake blocked her on social media a year ago because she kept liking his shirtless photos and commenting weird emojis. And still, she somehow stalks his profile. Even that wasn't enough for her to take the hint. So when she found out Jake and I were getting married with an actual date, unlike her ghost wedding with Tyler, she spiraled. She said I was rushing him and trying to one-up her. I told her, flat out, this isn't a competition. Jake loves me. We want the same things. If your fiancé keeps putting off your wedding, maybe you should talk to him instead of projecting your issues onto me. Her face turned red, and not the flattered kind. She mumbled something under her breath, and I walked away. The rest of the night actually started turning around. I avoided Amanda. Jake kept me close. We chatted with friends. His parents made a sweet toast. And then, Jake stood up and tapped his glass. I've got one more surprise for my bride-to-be. I turned around, already smiling. He pulled out a printed confirmation. He had booked the wedding venue I had been dreaming about for months. The one I thought we couldn't afford. I had let it go weeks ago because it felt out of reach. But he made it happen. I couldn't believe it. I ran up and kissed him right there in front of everyone. I didn't care who was watching. It was perfect. Then his parents stood up and announced they were gifting us our honeymoon, all expenses paid. I was on cloud nine. Seriously, I could have floated off that patio. But of course, Amanda couldn't handle it. Because just when I thought the drama was done, my mom suddenly pulled me aside and asked me to come upstairs. Said it was important. I was confused, but I followed her. When I walked into my room, Amanda was sitting on my bed, arms crossed, smug, like she had been waiting for this moment. And then my mom closed the door and said, "We need to talk to you. And I need you to keep an open mind." What followed next was the most unhinged, entitled, that's it thing I've ever heard in my life. So there I was, standing in my own bedroom, staring at my sister Amanda on the bed with her arms crossed like she was about to pitch a business proposal, and my mom pacing like she was preparing for some grand speech. And the moment my mom opened her mouth, I swear I could feel my soul leave my body. She said, "I need you to just hear us out before you react." That's never a good sign. Amanda jumped in like they'd rehearsed it. "I think I should be with Jake instead of you." At first, I literally thought I misheard her. I stared at her, then looked at my mom. She wasn't even shocked. She was just watching me, like she was waiting to see how I'd take the news. "I'm sorry." "What?" I asked. Amanda rolled her eyes like I was the one being dramatic. "I'm in love with him. And he's a good man. Unlike Tyler. He'd be better off with me." And I just stood there, blinking, trying to process whether this was some twisted prank or if I'd walked into a parallel universe. My mom stepped in like she was the moderator of a reality TV show reunion. "Honey, just think about it. Amanda is serious about starting a family. She's been ready for years. You're still young. You have time. Maybe Jake and Amanda could be a better match in the long run." "Better match?" I looked at her like she'd grown 3 heads. "You want me to break up with my fiancé so Amanda can have him?" Amanda chimed in again, this time way too confident. "He only avoids me out of respect for you. If you two weren't together, he'd see me differently." My jaw was just on the floor. She kept going. "I could be the perfect girlfriend. I'd treat him right. He'd fall for me if he just gave me a chance. You've already had your fun. Let me have mine. And then, the kicker, you can have Tyler. I wouldn't even be jealous if you ended up with my ex." She actually said that with a straight face, like she was doing me some kind of favor. I turned to my mom. "Are you hearing this? Is this a joke?" She looked serious. Amanda's heart is in the right place. She just wants to be happy. "No," I said, "she wants my life because hers is a dumpster fire." And that's when Amanda stood up, getting defensive. "You don't even appreciate Jake. You act like it's just another thing on your to-do list. You don't deserve someone like him." Oh, now I was done. I stepped forward. "I don't deserve him? The man who literally just booked my dream wedding venue and planned our honeymoon with his parents? That man? Amanda, he loves me. He's not your backup plan. And this whole thing, this entire conversation is insane." She didn't even blink. "Then why are you so threatened?" I actually laughed. "Threatened? By you?" Then I got quiet. "Amanda, you've been obsessed with Jake since the day you met him. You flirt in front of me. You used to stalk him on Clicksta before he blocked you. You hang on to a relationship that's been falling apart for years, and now you want to jump ship and land in mine like it's some kind of upgrade." My mom tried to play peacemaker again. "I just want what's best for both of you." I cut her off. "No. You want what's best for Amanda. You always have. And you're trying to sell it to me like I'm too selfish to share." Their faces tightened. "Let me be really clear," I said. "Jake isn't some community boyfriend. You don't get to pass him around like a holiday casserole. He chose me. He loves me. You want to talk about who's not good enough? Look in the mirror." Amanda's face flushed red, but before she could say anything else, we heard the door creak open. Jake was standing there. And behind him? Tyler. Jake looked from me to Amanda to my mom. His eyes narrowed. "What's going on?" I couldn't say a word. My face probably said it all. Amanda immediately tried to recover. "We were just..." Jake held up a hand. "No, don't. I heard enough." Tyler's face looked like someone had just told him the lottery was fake. He was pale. Wet cat energy. Couldn't even meet my eyes. I looked at Amanda and Mom. "Go downstairs. Walk to the front door. Leave." Mom tried to say something, but I shut it down with a glare. Amanda looked shaken for the first time all night. I think she realized she wasn't going to get out of this looking like a victim. They left. Quietly. Which, let me tell you, is a miracle in and of itself. Jake closed the door and turned to me. "What the hell was that?" I told him everything. From the second Amanda opened her mouth to the moment they tried to pitch me a trade like we were doing some weird relationship fantasy draft. Jake didn't even flinch. He just said, "Your sister's nuts. Like microwave your hair crazy. But hey, I'd marry your mom before I'd marry Amanda. And that's saying something. Because I'd rather get launched into the sun than marry your mom. I laughed. Actually laughed. Because only Jake could drop a line like that and still hold me like I was the only person in the world who mattered. The rest of the night, we stayed close. I didn't even try to hide what happened. I was done pretending. Done trying to protect people who wouldn't think twice about throwing me under a bus. And that's not the end. Because as it turns out, someone else had heard that conversation too. And what he did next changed everything. The day after the engagement party, everything felt weirdly quiet. Not peaceful quiet, tense quiet. Like the world was holding its breath waiting for the fallout to hit. Jake and I were in our kitchen, eating leftover cupcakes from the party, both trying to act normal. But we couldn't stop replaying the night before. Him, standing in the doorway. Amanda's face. My mom's voice, pleading for an open mind, like they weren't asking me to trade my future for Amanda's last shred of self-respect. Jake finally broke the silence. So, are we going to talk about how your sister basically tried to single white female her way into our wedding? I gave him a look. Can we just pretend for one morning that we're not related to actual lunatics? He grinned. Sure. But if a raccoon crawls through the window and offers you a better man, I'm stabbing it. God, I love this man. But just as I was about to take another bite of my lemon cupcake, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail, figuring it was probably someone's spam call or Amanda trying to sneak past the block list. But then, I got a text. This is Tyler. Can we talk? Yeah, that Tyler. Jake glanced at my screen. What does he want? I shrugged. No idea. I debated not responding, but curiosity got the better of me. I sent back a short message. Depends. About what? His reply came back almost instantly. About what I heard. Upstairs. During the party. And suddenly, I wasn't chewing anymore. Jake raised an eyebrow. He heard it. I nodded slowly. Looks like it. After a short back and forth, Tyler asked to meet me at a little coffee place downtown, neutral territory. Jake offered to come with me, but I told him to stay. If Amanda showed up, I didn't want it turning into a full-blown soap opera on the sidewalk. When I walked into the cafe, Tyler was already there. Alone. No Amanda in sight. He looked rough. Not hungover rough. Emotionally beaten down rough. Like he'd just seen something he couldn't unsee and didn't know what to do with it. I sat down. No hug. No greeting. Just looked him dead in the eye. You heard everything? He nodded. Enough. We sat there in silence for a few seconds before he finally spoke. I always knew Amanda had issues. But this. He shook his head. She was talking like you and Jake were a vending machine she just hadn't picked from yet. I sipped my coffee. So what are you going to do about it? He stared at the table for a long time. I already did. I broke off the engagement this morning. That surprised me. I mean, I knew their relationship was garbage, but Amanda always had him on a leash, emotionally, financially, even sexually, if I had to guess. She'd cheat, scream, manipulate, cry, and somehow always reel him back in. But this was different. What did she say? I asked. Tyler scoffed. She screamed. Then she cried. Then she accused me of trying to steal you. I blinked. Wait, what? Yeah. She said I was only mad because I wanted what you had, and that I was projecting. I told her that was the dumbest thing I've ever heard come out of her mouth, and I've listened to her explain astrology to actual scientists at parties. I tried not to laugh, but it was hard. He leaned forward. Look, I know we've never been close, and I'm not trying to make you feel sorry for me, but hearing her and your mom up there, like planning it, like it was a reasonable swap, that wasn't just crazy. That was disgusting. I nodded. Yeah, welcome to my childhood. He went quiet again. Then he said, I'm moving out. Today. I didn't know you still lived together. He gave a bitter smile. Technically, it was her apartment, but I paid most of the bills. My name wasn't on the lease because she said it felt too permanent. Funny, right? I didn't say anything. He looked at me, eyes red but clear. Anyway, I'm done. I don't know what's next, but I do know that whatever it is, it's going to be without Amanda. Part of me wanted to say something supportive. Part of me wanted to scream finally. But instead, I just said, that's probably the smartest thing you've ever done. We finished our coffees. I told him not to contact me again, not out of anger, but because I needed distance. He understood. By the time I got back home, I had 3 missed calls from my mom, 5 from Amanda, and a voicemail that started with, "How dare you?" before I even pressed play. Apparently, Tyler didn't just break up with Amanda. He exposed everything on Clicksta. Yep. Public post. Screenshots. Details. The whole thing. Called her out for trying to steal her sister's fiancé. Said he had nothing to lose, and people deserved to know who she really was. The comments? Oh, brutal. Even some of Amanda's friends turned on her. Someone posted a gif of a raccoon in a wedding dress. Another person just wrote, "This is why no one invited you to prom." My phone didn't stop buzzing for the rest of the day. Jake came home and read the post with me. He didn't say much, just held my hand and shook his head. Amanda, of course, went nuclear. She called me from a coworker's phone, since she's blocked on everything else, and started yelling about how this was all my fault. That I provoked her. That I made Tyler leave and humiliated her in front of everyone that matters. I didn't even let her finish. I said, "You humiliated yourself." She screamed that she'd get revenge. That I shouldn't think I won. That Jake would leave me eventually. That she'd be waiting. And I told her, flat out, "Then you better bring a folding chair, Amanda. Because you're going to be waiting a long time." Then I hung up. For good. I blocked the coworker's number. Blocked her email. Shut every window she could crawl back through. She's done. Mom tried to call me that night too. Left a tearful voicemail, the classic manipulator's blend of confusion, sadness, and guilt. Said she never meant for it to go that far. Said she thought I was strong enough to handle it. Said Amanda didn't know how to express herself. I didn't call back. Because here's the truth. I'm not playing family therapist anymore. I'm not the emotional punching bag. I'm not the bigger person this time. I'm the bride. And I've got a wedding to plan. I wish I could say things quieted down after that. But come on. You know how stories like this go. After Tyler's clicks to post went semi-viral, at least locally, Amanda lost her damn mind. She texted some of our distant cousins accusing me of manipulating the narrative and ruining her life on purpose. Someone forwarded me a screenshot of her calling me a cold, calculating witch who was jealous that she was always the pretty one. Like this was high school prom queen rivalry instead of her trying to steal my fiancé in broad daylight. The funniest part? She really believed she could somehow spin this into a redemption arc, like if she played the victim hard enough, everyone would forget what she said out loud. In my house. On my engagement night. But the damage was done. Jake and I agreed. No contact. No second chances. And absolutely, under no circumstances, would she be invited to our wedding. Same went for my mom. And honestly, that decision felt good. Powerful. Like I'd finally drawn a boundary and meant it. But of course, it didn't sit well with everyone. My mom showed up at my dad's house one evening, apparently in full meltdown mode. She told him she felt abandoned and that I was being cruel for cutting her off. Dad called me afterward to tell me what happened. I didn't say anything at first, he told me. I just let her talk herself in circles. And then what? I asked. I told her she made her bed. That you don't owe her anything after what she and Amanda tried to pull. And that if she wanted to help Amanda fix her life, maybe she should move in with her. That made me laugh harder than I had in days. Did she cry? I asked. Cried, yelled, said I was turning my back on my family. I reminded her she has 2 daughters, and one of them's getting married without her. The conversation ended with my dad saying something I didn't even realize I needed to hear. You're not wrong, kiddo. You're protecting yourself. And I'm proud of you for that. My dad and I had always had a bit of distance growing up, not in a bad way, just in a kind of classic dad's always working way. But since the party, he'd stepped up, defended me, called me regularly, checked in just to see if I was okay. I didn't realize how much that would mean until it started happening. I told him he was still invited to the wedding. And he said, I wouldn't miss it for the world. You're the only daughter I've got right now. Meanwhile, Amanda wasn't just spiraling, she was escalating. One night, Jake got a notification on his business page. Someone had left a 1-star review on his landscaping company's profile, claiming he was emotionally manipulative and dishonest. It was Amanda. She didn't even try to hide it. She used an alt account, but the language? The phrasing? It was her. We flagged it, reported it, and Jake's clients laughed it off, but it showed just how far she was willing to go. Like, imagine trying to ruin someone's career because they didn't want to date you. That's not just petty. That's delusional. We thought about sending a cease and desist. Jake even talked to a lawyer friend. But in the end, we figured letting her scream into the void was less exhausting than actually engaging her legally. My mom, on the other hand, had gone completely quiet, which would have been fine, except I had this nagging feeling she wasn't done. And I was right. 2 weeks after the party, she emailed Jake directly. Not me. Not my dad. Jake. She wrote this long, guilt-trippy essay about how Amanda was going through a hard time and how young women often lash out when they feel hurt. She said Amanda's actions were driven by passion and that I was making things harder by cutting off the family. And the kicker? She asked Jake to talk to me about reconsidering. She tried to go through my fiancé to manipulate me back into the fold. Jake showed me the email. His response was short, brutal, and brilliant. Hi, Beverly. I appreciate your concern, but your daughter's behavior was inappropriate, hurtful, and inexcusable. Sarah and I have decided what's best for our future. This isn't up for negotiation. Best regards, Jake, that was it. No games. No pleasantries. Just a closed door with a deadbolt. And then came the final cherry on top. Amanda called my dad and asked him to help mediate a reconciliation. I guess she figured if my mom couldn't get through to me, maybe Dad could guilt me into inviting them back into my life. But my dad? Oh, bless that man. He told her, and I quote, "I'm not a referee. I'm done trying to fix what you two keep breaking. Leave your sister alone, and maybe do something productive for once in your life." That was the last time either of them tried to reach me directly. And for the first time in years, I felt free. Free from the constant comparison. Free from the guilt. Free from the weight of being the other daughter. The one who had to keep the peace while Amanda set fire to the furniture and Mom fanned the flames. Jake and I started moving forward with wedding planning. Finalizing guest lists. Picking a cake flavor. Doing normal, happy things without the dark cloud of my family drama hovering over everything. And yeah, it was a little bittersweet. There were moments where I wished I had a mom to help me pick a dress, a sister to giggle with about the bachelorette party. But then I remembered the price of keeping them in my life, and I knew it wasn't worth it. They'd had their chances. They'd shown me who they really were, and I'd finally chosen to believe them. The morning of my wedding was quiet in the best way. No panic, no screaming, no forgotten shoes or missing rings. Just a warm breeze drifting through the windows of the little cottage we'd rented on the venue grounds, sunlight pouring in across the white floors, and the soft hum of my best friend Lizzie singing along to our playlist as she helped me with my makeup. I'd always imagined this day with my mom zipping up my dress, my sister handing me a mimosa and pretending to cry happy tears. But now I had peace. Real, undiluted peace. And that was 100 times more valuable than a fake moment with people who never had my back. Jake and I had decided to keep it small. Just 60 guests. People we truly loved. People who had shown up for us without asking for anything in return. That meant my dad would be walking me down the aisle, and my mom and Amanda would not be anywhere in sight. We didn't even send them invitations. When I told my dad about that decision, he didn't flinch. He just nodded and said, "Good. I don't want them ruining your day. They've already taken enough from you." And that's exactly what this wedding was, a reclaiming. The ceremony was held at a vineyard just outside Charleston, surrounded by tall cypress trees and white folding chairs draped in linen. The same venue Jake had secretly booked during our engagement party. The same place I thought was a dream I'd have to let go of. And now I was standing in it, wearing a gown that shimmered in the sun, with my hair pinned up in soft curls and my dad at my side. Before we stepped out, he whispered, "You look just like your mother did on our wedding day." I raised an eyebrow. He added, "Before she lost her damn mind." I snorted, nearly ruined my lipstick, and then we walked down the aisle. Jake was waiting at the altar, and the moment I saw his face, the way he looked at me, like I was the only person that existed, I knew I'd made the right call shutting all the toxicity out. Because this man, this life, this was mine. The vows we wrote had everyone crying, including the caterer, apparently. My dad gave a toast so unexpectedly heartfelt that I saw two of Jake's uncles wiping tears. The dinner was perfect. The cake was flawless. The dancing was wild. But my favorite part? The gift I gave Jake during the reception. It wasn't big, not flashy. Just a handwritten letter I'd been writing over the course of our engagement. Each entry a little memory, a moment, a reason why I chose him and would choose him again. When he read it, sitting across from me at our sweetheart table, his eyes filled up. He leaned over, kissed my forehead, and whispered, "No one's ever loved me like this before." I said, "That's because no one ever saw you before." We slow danced to Tennessee whiskey. And for 3 minutes, everything, the hurt, the chaos, the betrayal, just fell away. I almost thought the drama was finally over. Almost. The next morning, Lizzie knocked on our suite door holding her phone like it was radioactive. "Don't kill the messenger," she said. "But your mom's made a statement." I blinked. A statement? Like, press release? Lizzie turned the screen toward me. A long Facebook post, written in that faux spiritual font she loves, decorated with a photo of an empty floral arch and the words, "Missing what matters." I read it aloud. "Yesterday, I missed my daughter's wedding. Not by choice, but because she has hardened her heart to those who love her the most. Amanda and I have made mistakes, as all families do. But forgiveness is what holds us together, not walls." I watched from afar as she lived out the day that was supposed to be Amanda's dream. Yes, Amanda had once imagined that venue, that aisle, that future. But Sarah took it from her. And now, she refuses to even share a seat at the table with the women who shaped her. I had to stop reading because I was shaking with disbelief. She seriously framed it like I stole Amanda's life. Like I was the villain in some sad Hallmark drama where the golden daughter gets betrayed by the bitter, younger sibling. Jake looked over my shoulder and muttered, "Tell me she didn't tag the venue." "She did," Lizzie said. "And the florist. And the caterer. She even tagged the DJ. She's insane," Jake said, rubbing his temples. "Like full-blown sitcom crazy." "Wait," I said, scrolling down. "Oh my God," she turned off comments. Of course she did. Because even she knew that if people responded, they'd rip her to shreds. And yet, part of me wasn't even mad. It was sad. This was the only power she had left, weaponized self-pity. A lonely little echo chamber where she could rewrite the story again, this time with herself as the wounded hero, and Amanda as the misunderstood sister who just wanted love. The truth? They missed my wedding. Not because I hardened my heart, but because they tested me, and I finally stopped letting them win. Later that night, my dad texted me a photo. He and my stepmom were sitting in their backyard with a bottle of champagne, feet up, smiling. Caption: "Best wedding ever. Even better daughter." And in that moment, I felt something shift for good. I wasn't just married. I was free. It's been 3 months since the wedding, and I still wake up some mornings surprised by the peace. No frantic texts. No guilt-tripped voicemails. No backhanded comments disguised as concern. Just mornings that feel normal. Mornings where Jake kisses my shoulder, makes coffee, and asks if I want scrambled or sunny side up like it's the most important decision in the world. We're not in a honeymoon bubble. This is just life. And it's better than I ever imagined it could be. But not everything stayed quiet. See, while Jake and I were off in Costa Rica for our honeymoon, hiking waterfalls, sipping cocktails on the beach, and actively ignoring the internet, Amanda and my mom kept busy back in Charleston. And by busy, I mean they imploded. Apparently, the Facebook statement didn't get the reaction they wanted. A few of Amanda's friends unfollowed her. Some of our relatives reached out to me privately, asking what the hell that was all about. And my mom? She doubled down. Started telling everyone she was cut off because I'd married into money and gotten too good for family. That I'd abandoned Amanda when she needed me most. The lies just kept growing. But the thing about lies? They eventually collapse under their own weight. I didn't have to do a thing. I just lived my life. Tyler, Amanda's ex, remember him? Well, he thrived after the breakup. Started his own auto shop. Got a girlfriend. Someone stable. Kind. The complete opposite of Amanda. And of course, that destroyed her. She called my dad crying, said she'd made a huge mistake, that she was lost and needed help. Dad told her to go to therapy. She called me from another number again. I didn't answer. And then, in the ultimate act of desperation, she showed up at my job. I work at a design firm. Very open office. Very glass doors. So when Amanda came in, uninvited, wild-eyed, and borderline unhinged, it took about 10 seconds for the front desk to alert security. But I saw her. She was thinner. Not in a healthy way. Like someone who hadn't been sleeping or eating or functioning, really. She didn't try to scream or throw anything. She just stood there, staring at me like she wanted me to see what she'd become. Like that would change something. But it didn't. She was still the same girl who thought she could take what wasn't hers. Still the same person who looked at my life and wanted it like a prize. Security escorted her out, and I walked back to my desk without saying a word. No drama. No final speech. Just silence. That was the last time I saw her. As for my mom, she's living alone now. My dad filed for divorce a month after the wedding. Not because of me, but because he finally admitted to himself that being married to someone like her wasn't living, it was surviving. He told me he'd been holding on out of obligation. That the second she started trying to manipulate his daughter's life, it became unforgivable. He didn't yell. He didn't scream. He just packed a bag and said, "I deserve better." And he was right. Mom didn't take it well, obviously. She sent him a 6-page letter about loyalty, history, and standing by your wife. He sent back a single sticky note with the words, "Stand by someone worth standing for." That note now lives on our fridge, right next to our wedding photo. Jake says it reminds him that sometimes the smallest words carry the most weight. I think he's right. There's still days where I feel a little sad. Where I see a mother and daughter walking in the park or laughing at a coffee shop, and that ache creeps in. The part of me that wanted that kind of love. That still does, if I'm honest. But then I come home to our house, the one Jake and I painted ourselves, where our dog Henry greets me like I'm the son, and I remember that found family is just as real as blood, sometimes even more so. I built this life. With intention, with love, with the absolute clarity that I deserved better than what I was handed. And Jake, he shows up every single day. Not just with flowers or surprise date nights. Though yeah, he does that too, but with consistency, with belief in us. We started talking about kids, not in a pressure way, just little conversations. What would we name them? What kind of school would we send them to? Who gets to do bedtime voices? And I told him one thing I'm sure of. Our kids will grow up in a home where love is not a competition, where they'll never have to prove they're worthy of kindness, where no one will ever be made to feel like a backup plan. And if one day they ask me why their grandmother or aunt aren't in their lives, I'll tell them the truth, that not all family is safe, not all love is love. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is walk away. If this story touched you, share it with someone who needs to hear it too.